Welcome, welcome, welcome to the SubHub podcast. I'm EmKay Sullivan.
And I'm Dani Moreno. And today we have the Adventure Bakery, a creative agency based out of Europe. Today we have two of the members, Philipp Reiter and Gonzalez. You would probably know most of their work from the Golden Trail World Series. They've been involved with creating media for that series since 2017, where a few of their members began at that time, and then the rest of the members started to join in the subsequent years. We are very excited to have them because we believe that they are the cusp and kind of like the epitome of sub-ultra media right now. So welcome, Philipp and Pau.
Thank you guys for having us here.
Yeah, we are so stoked to have you on the SubHub pod. Can you guys start with just explaining what the Adventure Bakery is and like what the mission is?
Philipp, should I take this one?
Sure.
So the Adventure Bakery, before we get into how it all started, it's basically, we call it a creative agency, which means that we take on projects for clients from the very beginning, thinking of the ideas and then going out, producing these ideas, shooting these ideas in photography, video, social media, and also doing the whole post-production process all the way until the final delivery. And apart from that, we are starting to organizing events for clients, like brand activations for several brands.
And whose idea was it to create Adventure Bakery? How did this all get started?
So we have been working for many years already together. So everyone in his part, in his specialty. And when you work together many years and you spend a lot of time traveling and hanging out at the events, we became friends and we say, wow, it's really cool. We want to create something to be able to work more together. And so this was the idea behind it. Like, hey, let's merge these different specialities into one team, and not only a team that works for the Golden Trails, but also can do a lot of other missions. And this is why in the end of last year, we decided, hey, let's just do it. It's why to wait, or like, cool, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, when I saw the social media get kicked off, I was so excited because in my head, I'm like, well, duh, like that is, you guys are at every race, it feels like, for not just sub ultra, but ultra. And your names are well known, not just like as a group, but as individuals, at least in Europe, I would say, especially. So to see you guys come together just makes this kind of like powerhouse media agency / collective, like we were kind of discussing a little bit before this podcast. So you guys come up with this idea to join forces. How do you decide like what each person is going to focus on and like what roles each individual is going to have?
I think it kind of came naturally for us being on field, and the other guys. We have Pep, who is also a filmmaker. Then we have Jordi. He's a really well-known photographer. And then Maria, who takes care of the social media. So I think the roles were pretty much already settled by the time we got together. So Philipp and Jordi will be taking more on the photography side, and then me and Pep will be taking on the video side, and Maria on the social media side. But yeah, it's not just when we're out there shooting, running a company is so much more than just being good with a camera. So yeah, it took us a few meetings to decide, okay, who's going to be in touch with the clients, who's going to run this, who's going to run that. And yeah, each of us have a different role in the company. But yeah, mainly we still are really passionate about what we do. So ultimately, I still consider myself a filmmaker as Pep. And then I guess Philipp and Jordi, even though they do plenty of other things apart from shooting, they still considered like photographers.
Yeah.
So
cool,
sorry.
Because you can also like learn from the other one. So really try, everyone has his own, like his pillar bringing to the company, but also you can really get a little bit more knowledge about videography from my side, and we share many ideas and things that we listen, and it's really cool because we have this WhatsApp group, so every day you receive maybe 100 or more messages, but it's not annoying because it's a lot of information that everyone takes, news about equipment, about runners events, and so it's like a super active, like a volcano, or almost that. It's that really give a lot of information, and so every day it's a lot of new ideas, and we really found out sometimes it's difficult, or it seems difficult to be creative, but everyone adds a piece and a little hint on this creative process. And in the end, you have like a full cake of this. So, and it's really cool because in this process, you create new things. And it's really a really good value.
Yeah, you guys are all like so good at what you do individually. And so bringing it all together and being able to learn from each other is really cool. Have you guys always been independent contractors, like on your own? Because if so, then it feels like you guys probably already know how to run a business pretty well, having to like reach out to clients on your own. And now you guys have the whole group to help with that.
Well, from my side, I was never employed, always a freelancer. So I and the others too. So everyone knows how to do it. And as Pao said in the beginning, it was a little bit difficult because you do everything yourself. It's not that you don't want to share, but it's just you always do it like this for many years. And so also to rely a little bit on another person, because as an independent worker, you only rely about yourself. And it's like, no, the other person has this responsibility and this and this. And maybe sometimes it takes a little bit longer because everyone is working on his own projects as well. So, but it just took a little bit of time. But now I think it's quite good. And also it's we had many events, and it's interesting not everyone is working every weekend on events. So, but it's still like the venture back is always doing something. And I think this is also cool for outside to share these works and this idea.
Yeah, we have like a shared calendar. It's pretty scary. It's great. Everyone's somewhere every week. It's great. Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine, like, even with this podcast, we kind of were just trying to calendar races we want to, do previews and recaps of, and that's just sub ultra. I can't imagine, adding the rest of our sport onto that calendar and trying to always be present. And so now that you guys are the Adventure Bakery, is it kind of that going forward whenever you commit, you're making an agreement with a race or a brand, the contracts are always Adventure Bakery, or is there still room where, Pao, if you wanted to work on a project just by yourself, there's kind of that flexibility?
Well, to be honest, like the project would have to be so different from what we do to take it as Pao. Like, if I got asked to shoot a wedding, I'm not sure if I would put the guys in. I would. I mean, it's still an adventure, but most of 99% of the clients we are in touch with now, it's with the Adventure Bakery. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's interesting because just by creating this, because the team was so connected to the Golden Trail Series, because it was most part of the work. I mean, also time-wise, because it's a lot of work. And just by creating this, we got quite a lot of requests already from other brands and also from individual people. Hey, I have this project. And we had one guy that wanted us in New Zealand for a couple of days. And it's like, wow, it's super cool. Just by showing that we do other things too, it's like, hey, we really want you to work for us too. So, and I think this was really a smart move to just enlarge the work and the possibilities.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's a perfect segue to, chat a little bit about the Golden Trail World Series, because I really think, that is a big part of your success, is that you guys were heavily involved in that, the whole team, including Maria. And And for me personally, I have gotten messages about your content, about the photography and the video. They're like, from, friends involved in other sports, they're like, this is so cool. Who's doing this? Like, is this Salomon? And that was always a difficult question for me to ask because the Golden Trail is so synonymous with Salomon. I was like, no, I think it's separate. It's a media company that has been hired by Salomon and the Golden Trail World Series to create the media. And you guys have been there since day one, pretty much. How did that start? Like, I feel like you landed almost like a dream gig and then you smashed the dream gig. So that's why you're still around. So I'd love to hear the origin story of that.
I'll let Philipp take on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it came naturally. I mean, we have been working with Salomon first, and then like with the Golden Trail, we saw a lot of potential and a big vision because, it's still like the trail running environment. It's not one federation or one race circuit, so it's many events, some really prime event, let's say, or well-known that are not in any series. So it's a really strange environment even for insiders. So it's like how you value places, how you value athletes' performance. And especially if this is what we are trying, is to really push the sport to a next level, like to really enlarge the visibility also to like a really wide audience, because now we are still mainly in the outdoor enthusiasts, let's say, or the people that do trail running, okay, then they want to see what's going on. But the goal of the Golden Trail is really to show the sports to people that are generally interested in sports. So it's the same person that would watch football and would watch soccer, that would watch tennis, Formula One. So all these. And so for us, this is really this is the vision of the Golden Trail. And then we really tried many different ways, and it's a learning process to how can we get there? And I mean, this year it's super cool because 3 races will be live in Eurosport. So it's exactly this what we tried to do. It's a little bit difficult because it's just a one brand circuit in terms of one brand that is in the sports industry. And I totally get the point that other brands are a little bit aware how much they invest into this, because in the end it's Salomon, the main sponsor. And it certainly would be more easy maybe to grow it even more fast with more brands involved, but it's like this. And it's still cool. I mean, this year it's the next level for all the sports. And I think in the end, all the brands will profit from these steps that the Golden Trail Series take. And I'm sure also with Sky Running and UTMB, I mean, for them, the next step is how can we go in free TV?
Yeah. Why do you think people are so attracted to the Golden Trail Series and like the media that you guys produce?
Mainly, well, I mean, getting back on the other question a little bit. It's been great that we've been given the chance to create all the media for a circuit that was starting. Let's think of it as a little baby. So we had to learn what people wanted. We had to come up with ideas that were not there because we couldn't look for other examples. Like we could check other sports and how they did it, but we didn't really know what to do or where to go. So it's been a great opportunity that we got given to start experimenting and trying out things that slowly they worked. People are so into the Golden Trail Series because we try to give it like a good on the competition side. We try to make it as exciting as possible, basically, for the viewer. Then with the TV series we're producing, we're trying to get to know the athletes better, their stories, what they're going through, what it's like to be racing at this level, mentally, physically, what they go through. It's really cool. And then because there's a lot of content being put out there for the viewers, we do like race recaps. There's live on TVs this year. That's been on the previous years. There's been lives on Instagram. We do press conference. Dani's been there. We've taken her for interviews every now and then. And I think I think for the guy or the girl sitting at home, it's really cool we really want to make them feel like they are inside the thing with us. I want to be filming someone and I want to be thinking, okay, the viewer is right here with me and he's taking this journey with me, and I'm going to show you what it's like to be in the Golden Trail series. And I think with that, I think it's what made people want to stick in with us and to keep watching. Yeah.
I think you guys have done a great job of that too. Like, I have friends who have been like watching every single Golden Trail race that I have run that I would have never expected would be like, oh yeah, we like stayed up late to watch this and we saw the media, and my parents love it.
Yeah. And I can echo that sentiment of, for the viewer feeling as if they're in the room. And I think, at least from my personal experience of being in the room with you, Pal, and also Pep, and going through those interviews, is that as an athlete, I feel that you guys actually care and like you're on the journey with us the entire series. And it's not like new video people coming in every single race. And so there's actually that human connection that is visible in the video that you produce. And so I think it just allows the athletes to be, at least like myself, to be that much more vulnerable, because like I know you, like I've seen you multiple times throughout the years. We're friends. Like I feel like I can talk to you outside of the media context and we can like have a beer and hang out. And so versus, other interviews where I've done where I'm meeting the person for the first and last time and they're trying to like get that out of me, it's a little harder for me to want to share with them. So I think that's really unique in that you guys are involved from, day zero to past the finale. And it's like you love the sport as much as we do too. So I think that's echoed in the media, which is awesome.
And even during the race, like you guys are running with us, filming and cheering for us. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
How are you breathing?
Yeah. It's really,
I'm not.
Yeah. I'm dying.
That's the thing. I think because at the end we're all friends and it's great. Like speaking for myself, I knew nothing about this sport when I joined, and it's still a learning process. And I learned so much from you guys. And oh gosh, I've cried so many times on the interview room as well. It's actually great because it's a friendship, really. It goes beyond making a documentary, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really cool to listen to this. And I think it's also that more and more athletes understand that we work on this project together. It's not the Golden Trail organizers wants to use the athletes or the other way around. So it's really like, hey, like we need to work together. We need to work hand in hand to push the sport together, because then the athletes have the benefit, the Golden Trail have the benefit. And it's like, hey, like the goal is to really motivate and inspire more people and also make more people to watch these things. What is our passion? And I think this is what also we learned in the past. And it was really hard in the beginning because now the sport is really professional. So you need to rest, you need to take care. You don't want to have a long shooting. You don't want to have an interview before the race. You don't want to stay up late because you need to sleep, you need to eat. So, and we know this, but also now we have the feeling that more and more people are like, yes, okay, we have this performance and athlete part, but also the other thing is really important for our image and for the image of the whole sport. So we can really feel that there was a switch at a certain point. It's like, hey, it's not the media team against us. No, it's like we are doing this with the media team.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely applaud your team because, us athletes come in a variety of shades, especially, prior to a race. So having to manage, it's not, one's better or one's worse, right? It's just learning what athletes need and want and like how to balance that with they actually need to perform, and what they need to in order to do that, because in the end, that also makes the media better, right? Is like the battles and stuff like that. Before we transition to more like general sub ultra media, just like a last question for Golden Trail World Series, what are some of the hardest lessons that you've learned, during the series and recording, et cetera? And then what's something that actually ended up coming pretty easy?
How?
Philipp? Yeah. Hold on a second. So I think the hardest is language. It's hard if you don't speak English, or if someone doesn't understand English, to communicate. So over these years, personally, I'm good with languages, but for example, I don't speak French or I don't speak Italian. And there's a lot of Europeans on this series, and it really makes you wonder, oh gosh, I should have learned more languages at school. Because like it's hard to communicate sometimes, like with people. And when you're interviewing someone, I think it's really important that you want to get that emotion out of them. And unless you can communicate with them, it's really hard. So for me, that was one of the hardest things when I was trying to interview people that didn't speak English, to really get what I wanted out of that interview. Another thing that was fairly hard, and maybe Philipp can relate into this, Philipp's German and he works a lot, but the days are not like a 9-hour shift in an office. Like the days have like 20 hours and you're working 24/7. It's just crazy. Like people home here, they say, oh, dude, you travel a lot. You get to see a lot of places. It's super cool. I'm like, yeah, it looks great on Instagram, but there's a lot of work that goes behind those days on the races. It's actually crazy. And then if there was an easy thing that I came to realize on the Golden Trail Series is how friendly everyone is and how easy it is to become friends with everybody. And that's really cool because you know how sometimes other sports like maybe soccer or like other sports where there's more money, where people are supposedly more famous, you look at these guys like inaccessible. That's something that will not happen in the Golden Trail Series. I remember the first time I was shooting with Killian, I've heard of him, he's a legend. And I thought, oh, okay, like don't bother him too much. He'll be the first one to talk to you, sit down, have a coffee with you, chat for you for 30 minutes or an hour if needed. And yeah, that's the really cool thing about the Golden Trail Series.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
No, the English thing is really it's a problem. I mean, if you usually feel way more comfortable talking in your own language, and especially when you want to explain more complicated or more emotional things. And I think especially the web episode part that lives from this, like really sharing insights. And so sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad because you're not so spontaneous in another language. But sometimes you think twice what you want to say because you need to internally translate it a little bit in your head. So it's both sides. But in generally, I think it's super easy to talk with the people in generally because still the people that run the Golden Trail Series, they are passionate first. And then they're athletes. So they're passionate runners and then they're professionals. I still have the feeling in the past it was not a lot of professionals, so you only had passionate people, and now it's slightly changing a little bit. And in the end, yes, so everyone, it's like need to make a living from the sport. So it's not only a competition in the race itself, but it's also competition for the communication, for the sponsors. But it's still not, I don't have the feeling that it's really like affecting the general mood between the athletes. And this is really cool in the sport.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And just backtracking a little bit to POW, yes, you guys work so freaking hard. I feel like every time I see you, you're like running off to another interview and stuff like that. So just letting the viewers know if you want to get involved in this business, you're going to work your butt off for sure.
You will be a panda after.
Yeah. And I noticed that you guys did that this last series, like the episodes that you guys put out about the athletes, you guys would ask them questions in English, but then a lot of them would answer in their native language. And you're totally right. Like it conveys the passion so much more, like when you don't have to pause and like translate in your head. And I mean, those episodes were great. So I'm sure I cried listening to some interviews, but so we're going to kind of move on to just like general media in the sub ultra space. And my first question for you guys would be, what do you think that sub ultra media is missing right now?
All right. So there's a lot of things already. I mean, in terms of race recaps, there's people filming, shooting every race. Now we have people with drones, we have camera runners, we have fixed cameras at the start and the finish lines. I think the next level is more live coverage on TV, especially for sub ultra where it's short racing. If we really find out a way to adapt the racing itself to the TV format, it's going to be great, because that means that we will be able to show our sport to millions of people at home, sitting home on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning. They'll be able to just join in and watch you guys racing for 2 hours.
I'm imagining like when you're watching a football game and, the race is going, it's going, and there's a little bit of a lull, and you guys cut in with like this really nice montage of somebody at their house preparing for the race or like an interview. And I think, the live streaming that like we have is like pretty good. And if we can expand on that, that would be totally awesome. But obviously a lot of the issue there is like service, which I think honestly when we're racing in Europe, there's tons of service out on the trails there. But like once you get into the US, you're just like out in the middle of nowhere on trails. So you got to like get into the Tesla Starlink stuff. And
yeah, this was really a big hope. But also it's, even if you think about Chamonix, and if there's too many people in this valley, and this happens at UTMB or Mont Blanc Marathon, because it's many different races and many people and many spectators, which is super cool, but it's just too many people for the network. And like it's super difficult to send out something, and then you really have problems with the streaming. And also, I mean, I think almost every runner wants to also push in the sustainable side. So like there is no way that you do it with the helicopter or like a other big thing, because I think in more and more the awareness, especially in the outdoor enthusiasts, because they want to protect their spaces. And so I think this is also a point where we need to be sensitive. And sometimes I ask myself, because I like the mountains a lot and I like to be alone, and often I like to not see anyone, to be in wild places. Now we push a lot to communicate to the mass, but we want to be alone in the mountains. It's quite a bit paradox on, okay, we want that more people enjoy these things, but we also want to like keep this space for us. So it's not I have no solution on this. It's just when you think about this, for me, the best race running things, what I do, or ski touring or whatever, is like, yes, it's no people around all the day. But now we push a lot to get more people into this. So, but it's not our own space. So we cannot say you can like enjoy it and you can't. It's like, this is not fair, but it's just interesting. And on the other side, it's like, yes, it's a trend. And I say this in the beginning, that the sport is growing by 10%. So I think it also changed a little bit the view of the people when you show them how beautiful many places are, because why you should do littering when it's so beautiful? Like, you want to protect these places as well. Yes, it's maybe more people, but also I think the people will generally change a little bit their view and their vision about these things. And but also, okay, we are trying to put an international series, so it's many travels, especially between overseas, and we all know that it's not good. But so it's really to find a good balance between these.
Yeah, 100%. I would say all those conversations are very relevant. And I feel that personally, I'm involved in a lot of those topics that you talked about, kind of weighing the pros and cons. And I think just the fact that we're talking about it is special. It just means that we all care about what happens to the future of the sport and of Mother Earth and how we're going to impact it. But I personally agree with the sentiment that, while there is a lot of people, if they have this emotional experience, such as having a race, outside, then they're more inclined to protect it, which, hopefully that's the best end of the stick that we get more often. So Phil, for you as like a photographer, do you feel that photography is going to improve for like trail running and mountain running? Do you think like where are we in the evolution of photography in this space?
So I just gave my 2 cameras that I got from my grandfather. It was analog. I gave it to the service, and with the film, and you had just a manual focus, so it was certainly way more difficult in the past. I think it has never been so easy. I mean, we all have a smartphone, so you can just take pictures. It's different levels of quality, let's say, but I think it's really accessible. And now, I mean, artificial intelligence is a big topic, so it's huge. And if you already think also in the video or photography side, so you basically type in a few things, and then the computer generates you an image. It's absolutely ridiculous what is already possible. But I like photography, and I almost never use a long lens because you need to be close to the people. And so if I have a long lens, I can be behind a bush. The people don't even recognize that I take a picture, but it's not my way because I want to be close. I want to follow them. And then it's like you start to build a kind of relationship where you trust a little bit, and then you take the picture. It's totally different. So it's about a way to get to know other people. And I run a lot with my camera or ski or climb. And it's also, you have a lot of super beautiful, like watching a sunset. So it's super, super nice. And I really want to capture this moment. And I have a ton of picture on my phone or on my computer that probably I will never share, but it's also a kind of a memory for myself. And especially if you're into photography and you sharpen a little bit your view for the details and you look closer, and then you can enjoy it anyway. But for me, it's really a way to take more time and look a little bit the details. But generally, I say it's super accessible to everyone. It's not a big secret anymore, or it's super expensive than it was. It's not so long ago, like 20, 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have a business idea for you guys. I'll just pitch it right here, but you guys should do like the Adventure Bakery media workshop, because I personally know a handful of photographers that they'll hit me up. They'll be like, hey, Dani, you want to go shoot, some running? And while we're out there, I find myself saying like, oh, like I should do this and this, just from my experience of, being with you guys or other photographers. And it is kind of a learned skill to be able to, what are the right angles? What is aesthetically pleasing when you're shooting a runner? So I feel like you guys could definitely, have some business there of people getting into the space.
Maybe we go to dream destinations and organize some media work up there.
Yeah.
If you need to hire any runners to, be your models, we're up for hire.
We're there.
Got you guys. Yeah, for sure.
That's good. Yeah. No, I think we see more and more people really taking cameras on the run, creating also memories for themselves. Yes, you have memories in your head, but it's two things. For me, it's two sides of the coin. We really tend also to create these memories just to share them. So often we see less enjoyment of the moment, and you create memories for the future. So it's a bit sometimes weird, because when you are in this beautiful sunset, what I said before, okay, just take a look and like inhale the moment. And then people, it's like, okay, we need to make this picture because the sun is disappearing soon. So, okay, for the video, and put out the drone quickly. So, and then after you're like, oh, wow, so it's finished the sunset now. So it's gone. So it's two things. I think it's also important to say, well, I keep it here too.
It's like, we'll check it later when we get home on the computer.
Yeah. Well, I don't
we'll
want
grab
to
a beer and check the sunset on the screen.
Kind of tourists that do Europe in 10 days. And then they go up Agu Midi, even if it's totally foggy, but it's in the program and they do it well.
And you got to get the pictures too, so you can show everybody at home. Yeah. Even though it's never the same. But
no.
So kind of looking forward to the future of Adventure Bakery. What kind of projects are your favorite? What are the projects that you're looking to take on? And what brands do you want to work with right now?
Should I take it, Philip, or do you want to take it?
Take it.
All right, sure. So we kind of want to make like a little statement that we don't only shoot trail running. It's like Philip flies paragliding. I love surfing. Pep is into mountain biking. Jordy likes climbing as well, and he's into many other sports. So we're all like multi-sports passionate. But really, what we want to say is that we're really open to go whatever on an adventure. Like that's what we want. Like whoever has the craziest idea of going whatever, just let us know. We're gonna go. We have cameras. We go and we shoot and we make something out of it. But yeah, like the projects we want to work on, and especially with the brands, to us, it's really important to work with brands that have values that we share, to work on stories that are based on true stories so that people get to know the athletes or whatever it is that we're talking about. And also work with like social sustainable brands, like brands that have a way of doing that we would support as well. Yeah, maybe Philip can go a bit deeper on that. But yeah.
So now sustainability is a big topic. So it's always one of the first questions if you talk about product, and it's usually really product focused sustainability. But to me, sustainability is also what Pau said, it's social sustainability. So why you make campaigns with influencers that change the sponsor or the brand that work with every week? Like how you sponsor events just 1 year, things like this. For me, this is absolutely not sustainable. Like we talk usually only about product sustainability, but it's many other topics too that is connected to this. And we live in a really fast world, and the acceleration is huge. Sometimes it's good because after one day the bad things are forgotten and other things are happening. So it's a positive side, but also it's important that a brand, and now it's the big brands entering this trail running and the outdoor world, and usually they are really driven by numbers and figures. It's like these old brands that maybe it's still family owned, and like the guy created this brand because he didn't have product in the beginning 100 years or 50 years ago. So it's like, wow, we need to produce backpacks because we don't have good backpacks, or shoes because we don't have shoes to run. So this was the idea. But now I think so far the outdoor world was really not totally protected because already other companies entered that were really business driven, but now I think it's more and more going into this direction. And yes, of course, in the end, all the brands, they need to make money, they need to pay their employees and so on. But I really felt that it was like the first goal is, hey, we are passionate about outdoors in general, and then okay, we make products for these and then we make money. But now I see more and more the trend that, okay, we see a business there, so let's think how we can make the products to make money. So it's really a bit of weird, strange tendency, I would say. But so I think it's really also that we that are really on the field and on the ground, and we can also, like the athletes, the people that work for this, direct a little bit. Even the decisions are made from other people, but still it's like we can say how we want this evolution change, at least slightly. And this is really important for us. And
Yeah, I would definitely say I feel that in the trail space, and maybe it's echoed in other parts of the adventure sports space that's in the same kind of growth area as trail running, that there's kind of this understanding that there's power in numbers, right? So with you guys creating Venture Bakery now, you're one big team, and there's some leverage there. And in the trail running space now, we have the Trail Running Association with pro athletes, coming together, realizing that you do have leverage as this sport is growing, to make sure that, like you said, Philip, we're creating sustainable decisions, not just from the environmental standpoint, but every other aspect of that too. So it's a cool time to be in the sport, without a doubt. And your branding is on point if you don't want to just be in trail running. I guess that's why you're not the running bakery. You're the adventure bakery. So going forward, you have more options, which is really cool. Go ahead, EmKay.
I was going to say we interviewed Allie Mack last week, and she like had this idea because she just got into base jumping, that there's this bridge. She's going to base jump it and then hike up as fast as she can and base jump it and hike up. So you guys are going to have to like learn how to base jump so that you guys can get into that with Allie.
I don't want to make any spoilers, but that's on the pipe. Nice. I was talking to her last week as well. Yeah, about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. So you guys, so now that you've been, I guess you're coming into, let's see, at least 5 years in the trail running space, if not more than that. What advice would you give to kind of like new creatives in this space or aspiring creatives? We'll just talk specifically for trail running.
Well, I think the most important thing is you should be fit. I mean, if you want to go up to cool mountains, to great summits, or you want to follow the athletes, I mean, this, it's super annoying when the guys that you need or want to do a shooting with, you need to wait them. They have a ton of equipment and you're cold, and it's like, well, it's really annoying. So you need to like practice this sport as well. I think for me, this is a key, and also to understand the difficulty, the needs, and and to move fast in the mountains, because otherwise you will not do a lot of sports, and everyone is annoyed, and in the end nobody will want to work with you because it's just not a really good sensation, let's say. And also I think in the end it's a lot of trying and training also for this side. So nobody is born as an expert, and you can slowly build up. And you need a lot of patient models. That's the thing.
There's this this video of me from the Mont Blanc Marathon, and I think it was Anna who was videoing me, and she is moving like it's obviously the end of the race. I'm like just done, and she had to like stop multiple times because she was so good at running downhill, and I was like walking. So you got to be good at this sport to be able to keep up with the athletes. But that day she was definitely outdoing me.
Yeah. I would say my first Golden Trail Series race, it was Nuria, somewhere in Spain in 2021. And that was the first time I'd ever been followed with a GoPro. And I was kind of worried I didn't know who the runner was, but I was just like, are they running with us? Like, are they sending it down this hill? So yes, I would say that was incredibly impressive, and totally agree with that, Philip. I've seen so much stuff on your Instagram where you're like following people setting FKTs, and I'm like, does he get credit for the FKT too? He's right there with the camera. It should be like, in adjacent, Philipp Reiter is also on the FKT crowd.
You guys are crazy fast.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Not always. I've had a really close call with Judith Witter once in Italy. Yeah, in the Dolomites. So I was shooting the guys passing through the downhill first, and then I timed it to have like 20 minutes to walk down, and then to the next point to film Judith passing. She was coming first. So I started going down, just walking with my tripod while my gimbal and my backpack. And then it took her like not 20 minutes, but around 12 to 15. And then I hear something in the back approaching really fast, like, oh, another guy coming. And then I turned around and no, it's Judith. And I wasn't ready. And I was just like running, trying to get the camera on. And she was like, move. And I was like, I'm so sorry. But you guys are so fast that, you have to really be trained, especially on running downhill terrain, on technical terrain. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think you can also give yourself grace. Judith is one of the best female downhillers in the world. But Oh, and for our listeners, Judith Witter, she was the champion of 2019 Golden Trail World Series. Great follow on Instagram. She recently signed with Hoka after being with Solomon for many years. Any other advice that you could think of for, new people in this space?
No, I have another question. I want to reverse the question. How does it feel like in the beginning? Is it weird when you have one guy like with the cameras around? Do you feel less concentrated, or what's going on in your head when you have this kind of also live coverage, someone running really close behind you, breathing hard as well because it's hard? So how is this sensation?
I love it. I think it especially when you're in a pack. I remember at the beginning of Mont Blanc Marathon last year when all of us were kind of jostling and trying to figure out our space, going up that first, I don't even know if we can call it a climb compared to the rest of the race, but and it was just so cool to have you guys in there, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm feeling really cool. I'm in the video, I'm going to do this. And so sometimes I feel like it can definitely be a little intimidating, but I really enjoy having you guys around, especially because you guys cheer for us. That's I'm okay, they're breathing fine. I'm going to do it too. I don't know how you feel about it, Dani.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to having that connection before the race and knowing who you are. I think if it was a bunch of more random, I don't know, I guess at OCC, it was kind of like that. People were recording me that I didn't necessarily know. But yeah, I think it's really cool to be honest. It does. I think I had to get used to, though, not surging whenever I saw a camera, because I was like, oh, I need to pick it up. Nothing to gotta be in the front. Yeah, no. Yeah. So just making sure it doesn't affect the race. But I think, again, knowing that the output is for the betterment of the sport, but also it's really cool because you guys send us media too. So it's a win-win. If it was out there and I felt, maybe I wasn't getting something from it, as weird as that sounds. And I don't mean for that to sound selfish, but it's you're kind of using my likeness and, you're using me to help promote the series. If I felt that just was to help Solomon all the time, maybe it wouldn't feel as good, but I really feel like there's a good back and forth relationship.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty good two-way street that you guys have set up. Even as somebody I was very new to this series last year, and you guys were like, oh yeah, here's the content. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll share it.
But do you run more fast, or you when you see the camera, or when you're does it change, or
I think
depends on the part of the race.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, I'm like, ooh, yeah, I gotta be looking good. And then at the end, I'm like, you guys are like, great job. I'm like, shut up.
I'm not doing it. I'm tight right now. Yeah, no, it's definitely great. So kind of before we wrap this up, what are some kind of on the same vein of advice? Is there any equipment, the minimum equipment for a photographer and a videographer that you would recommend?
Yeah, go on, Philipp, for photography.
But I think just especially when you're starting this process and when you're new into this, it's not necessary to buy the high-end camera. And especially, we have experienced that both. Sometimes you break some equipment because you need to go fast. You're in the rain and it's hard conditions. You run down fast. And so it's... it's like when you just made your driving license, you're not going to buy a new car, a really expensive car. So it's kind of the same. And also, the quality, it's different with better equipment, yes, but it's really about being creative, and you can be also creative with simple cameras and even with your phone. So it's about the angles, about how you kind of moderate the pictures or the video. So it's, for me, the advice is to think about the shot and don't think too much about the equipment.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a big debate because you see all that on TV and on YouTube on 4K, really big quality. We're shooting on GoPros. A lot of footage of you guys running, it's shot on GoPro. So any GoPro to start filming would be okay to follow runners. Then if you think of it we also use drones. They're not huge because we have to take them on our backpacks all the way up to the mountain. So we're not going to carry all these big, massive pieces of equipment. It's mostly, our camera is a have a fairly good amount of quality. But for someone who's starting out, like, don't freak out about the quality. Just go for something that you can afford. Don't spend all your money with expensive equipment. And just, as Philipp said, just plan out the shots, try to be creative. You don't need high-end equipment to start. Yeah.
My teammate Alexander was telling me that he makes a lot of content with like drones. And he was like, if you are worried about crashing your drone, or if you're going to get upset about crashing your drone, you cannot like do this content stuff because you're going to break something. So I imagine like if you're coming in and you're buying like expensive stuff right off the top, you're going to be a little too heartbroken when you inevitably probably break something trying to keep up with a trail runner or a mountain biker or whatever.
So I remember this moment. It was in Pikes Peak. So we had a cooperation. The team was the Paro at this time, the French company that produced drones. And so the guy explained us in the parking lot. Yeah, so here, this is how it works, how you switch it on. And I just grabbed the remote and I was like, okay. And it just goes straight up. It was a big tree and boom, and the thing exploded. I was like, okay, well, it was right. Like 10 seconds after he explained me the thing, and I was like, oh, well.
Yeah. So note to all the new creatives out there, you will break things.
Your drone will most likely explode.
It happens all the time. Yeah.
So you can, if you have expensive equipment, and so take an insurance maybe.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I say, and another thing that I think it's important for people who will start out, when you film or take photos, always back up your files afterwards. That's really important because I've been there where I've deleted something that I shouldn't have, and then it's gone.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how many times has that happened to you guys?
Not a lot of times, but sometimes hard drives break, or, SD cards stop working all of a sudden. So the sooner you can get your footage into a hard drive and then copy that into another hard drive, it's going to be safer. Yeah.
I had to download an application like a hard drive doc or whatever doctor, because I followed a guy making a hike and fly trip in Austria. And so we are all the day on. It was for many days. So he was super tired, and he gave me his GoPro footage and I back up, and I just forgot because I had plenty of cards, and I was like, okay, this card I back up or not? Okay, I put it back in the GoPro. I have made the formatting process. So I erased the card, and after I was like, shit, it was not the right card. So, and then I search in the internet, I find a program, I pay, I don't know, a couple of €100. And so I found to recover the card. And in the end, so I never told him that I messed it up and we lost some shots, but it was okay. But I think you do this only one time, especially when you have a big production, because, and especially in the race, like if you do a video or photo shooting, okay, you can just say, okay, we do it again. But imagine in the Mont Blanc Marathon, this will not happen again. Like the pack of the group will not put a bib on just to recover this shot, like it's gone. But this is also one of the cool things. Like you have one shot. And so I'm coming from the racing side as well. I did many races in the past. And some people, you're missing this racing thing. And I always think, well, I have my race too. So because it's a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties, you need to have fast. You have only one try. So it's kind of the same, just a little bit different.
Yeah. I am so impressed how you all get those shots. There's parts of the race where Jordy too. Jordy is one of the photographers who is a member of the Adventure Bakery at OCC. He got this beautiful shot where I was running by, and I was like, I saw you once that race, and you got this shot. So it's very, very impressive, your guys' expertise at your craft. Do you have any advice for people reaching out to brands or trying to get gigs and jobs?
It's a difficult one. I mean, it's more and more people that want to do these things, because I think from outside sometimes it seems to be easy. You take a camera and you make some pictures and you sell it. It's not really like this, and it's a trusting process from the brand of the athletes. To me, I think the advice is to start with athletes, and then you see if you can reach the brands too, if the content is good or inspiring enough. but it's not so easy for a new person to totally get into this environment. And as I said, it's also competitive and it's more accessible for sure. And so I don't really have a key for this, and but it's a process, and it takes many years. So you need to be patient and trained too.
Patience in training and in the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, final question. You guys on your website say that you're currently hiring. Who are you looking for this position?
I think we're looking for people like us. Somehow crazy. But we want to connect with people around the globe, really, that are passionate about the sport and they want to go out and shoot. They don't particularly have to be, like have high expertise on the thing, as long as they can prove themselves that they've had a few projects and the quality wise it's good. But this is mainly because we are based in Europe, but we don't want to just shoot and work here in Europe. So sometimes there's some projects that we won't be able to go to, or the calendar is super packed and we can't just take all the jobs. We'd love to, but it's impossible. We're already started to work with some other creatives that work under the Adventure Bakery. And we just want to connect with people that are available to work with us.
So are you guys looking for somebody outside of Europe specifically, or just somebody who's willing to travel outside of Europe?
Europe, outside of Europe. As we said before, like in terms of sustainability, sometimes we have a couple guys that shoot for us in the States, but the world is huge. So the more people and the more database that we have with people creative that want to work with us, the better. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, especially if everyone is in alignment on the mission of Adventure Bakery. Just seeing a team of people across the globe, it's like a badge of honor. You're like, I'm part of the Adventure Bakery. I hope there's like a little loaf of bread pin or something, right? Like that you get with this.
We'll make some.
Get some a muffin,
a croissant.
Yeah.
Depending the country that you're from.
Yes, exactly.
What is your country's specialty?
We're definitely we're donuts for sure. I feel like that's America.
Yeah. Donuts or cookies.
Pretzels for the Germans, croissants for the French, pasta de nata for the Portuguese. So
I love it.
Well, between your workshop idea and your pin idea, I mean, I hope me and EmKay get some commission coming up soon. You're welcome. Well, it has been a pleasure talking with you, Philipp and Pau. It's just so cool to think of where you started, and congrats again on your Eurosport. Like, you all are going to have like a TV production team. That's incredible. Some people never get there in their life. So I hope you guys are really proud of that. And for the team. So if you want to follow the Adventure Bakery, what is the social media account on Instagram?
I think it's at
go ahead.
So at @adventure.bakery on Instagram. Yeah.
And we'll link that in the show notes too, as well as your website.
And the job posting
somewhere here. I don't know.
Subscribe at a button, like the button. That's what I'm doing. And hopefully we'll see you guys again, hopefully in the next couple of months, starting for the Golden Trail World Series.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having us, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Which races are you doing?
I think I'll be doing Mont Blanc Marathon, and I'll see kind of beyond that how things kind of shake out.
Yeah. With World Championships this year, pretty much the only thing I'm totally sure about is Mammoth Trail Fest. So we'll see about the rest of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you again for joining us, you guys.
Thank you very much. We'll see you out there.
And this has been the SubHub podcast, brought to you by Freetrail.